Number 3. Amir Vehabovic. In March 2007, 45-year-old Amir Vehabovic from Gradska, Bosnia and Herzegovina, suddenly passed away from unknown causes. His family and friends were notified that he had died and a funeral was to be held. There was a death certificate and a coffin was delivered to the funeral. After the funeral, 45 of Vehabovic's friends received the following letter. The letter reads, quote, "To all my dear friends, until my funeral, I considered you all close friends. So it was with shock, and I admit, sadness and anger, that I realized that not one of you managed to find the time to come and say goodbye to me when you heard I was to be buried. I paid a lot of money to get a fake death certificate and to bribe undertakers to deliver an empty coffin. I thought my funeral would be a good joke, the kind of prank we have all played on one another over the years. Now I have just one last message for you. My funeral might have been staged, but you might as well consider me dead, because I will not be seeing any of you again." Unquote. It turned out that Vehabovic was curious as to how many of his friends would attend his funeral. So he faked his death, and then, at his funeral, he hid in the bushes and watched to see who would come. Only his elderly mother came. It is unknown if his friends replied to his letter or what he is up to today. Number 2. Alison Matera. In 2006, 26-year-old Alison Matera of Newport Richey, Florida, shared some sad news with her friends in the choir at St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in nearby Hudson, Florida. She had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. Nevertheless, she agreed to start treatments. After 11 months of treatments, Matera told her choir friends that she would be moving into a hospice to live out the rest of her life. While at the hospice, Matera's choir friends got several phone calls from a woman claiming to be a nurse at the hospice. She gave them updates on Matera's condition. On January 18, 2007, the choir director, Timothy Paquin, received a call from the same hospice nurse. She told him that 27-year-old Alison Matera passed away at 7:04 p.m. that day. After the call, Paquin told the other choir members about Matera's passing, and they planned a memorial service. A couple days later, Paquin received a phone call from a woman claiming to be Matera's sister. She told him that Matera's body was being sent north to her family. Paquin noticed that her voice was similar to Matera's. He mentioned the similarity to the choir members, and they said that they thought that the hospice nurse sounded like Matera. Paquin thought that this was all very odd, and it made him suspicious. So he phoned local funeral homes and the hospice. No one had heard of Alison Matera, and they had no record of her death. Though the revelations were odd, the memorial service was held on January 26, 2007. The choir members were shocked when Matera's so-called sister attended the memorial service. She looked exactly like Matera. After the service, the choir members decided to call the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. Deputies went to 27-year-old Alison Matera's apartment, and they found her alive and well. Matera admitted she had faked her death. She said she had attachment problems that stem from childhood trauma. She said she needed to distance herself from people she felt had gone too close to her. She felt that way about the choir members and wanted to quit being in the choir. She thought that lying for 11 months about dying from cancer, then faking her death, was the best way to separate herself without hurting anyone's feelings. According to the Sheriff's Department, Matera did not commit any crimes, so she was not arrested or charged with anything. Number 1. Ari Squire. 39-year-old Ari Squire lived in Lake Barrington, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. He owned a small construction business. His passion in life was diesel truck pulling. The goal of the motorsport is to pull a sled with as much weight as possible on it with a pickup truck. Ari built a large garage on his property to work on his truck. On February 23, 2008, Ari was working on his truck in the garage when what was initially described as a freak accident occurred. His truck was up on a jack and suddenly it fell off and landed on him. When it fell, it knocked over a fuel filter he had been working on. A light bulb attached to an electrical cord fell into the pool of diesel and broke. There was a spark from the cord, and this led to a fire. Ari's wife, Denise, called 911. The firefighters arrived and put out the fire. Ari's badly burned body was found in the burned ruins of the garage. In his back pocket was his wallet, which contained his driver's license. Because of the burns on the face, when the medical examiner compared the photo of the driver's license to the body, he could not say with certainty that was the body of Ari Squire. The medical examiner decided to get his dental records. Days later, when he got them, he was a bit surprised. They did not match the dead body. Many people, including the neighbors, thought the death was strange. What were the odds that he'd be crushed by his truck and then a fire would break out? The police thought that the death was suspicious. For example, Ari had worked on his truck a lot. He would have known about the dangers of working under a truck that wasn't properly secured. So it seems odd that he would have been crushed by the truck. Also, it was thought that a spark from the electrical cord started the fire. But the garage's circuit panel had been turned off, so there was no electricity. Therefore, an electrical spark couldn't have started the fire. Another odd thing was that there was a lot of diesel fuel on the front of the dead man's shirt. He was lying on his back in a pool of diesel, so there shouldn't have been much diesel on the front of his shirt. Also, there seemed to be more diesel than what was in the filter. Plus, the police found another, more flammable type of fuel on the shirt. Why was a second type of fuel on the shirt? The police concluded that the body wasn't Ari Squire's, and whoever the dead man was, he was murdered by Ari. The detectives investigated Ari and Denise's relationship. They had been married for 14 years, and they did not have any children. Their friend said they had a rocky relationship. In the house, the police found evidence to support this. It appeared that the night before the deadly fire, the beds in the master and guest bedroom had been slept in. Also, Ari had been having financial and legal problems. Ari's construction business was nearly bankrupt. Ari had previously run a home health care business. Between 1998 and 2001, he falsely billed Medicare for $2.3 million. 3 months earlier, in December 2007, he pleaded guilty to fraud, and he was sentenced to 6 months of house arrest and 5 years of probation. He was also ordered to pay $189,000 in restitution. However, there was a $5 million life insurance policy on Ari's life. His wife would get $4 million, and his best friend would get $1 million. After several days, Denise became impatient with the coroner's office. She was trying to get them to release the body so she could have it cremated. But they refused because they were still investigating. Denise's impatience bolstered the investigators' belief that something illegal had happened. The police learned on the same day of the fire, a 20-year-old man named Justin Newman went missing. Newman worked at a local Home Depot. On the day of the fire, Newman told his mother, Donna Ferrito, that while he was working, a man offered him a construction job. He would get paid $15 an hour, which was double the minimum wage in Illinois at the time. The man who offered him the job was Ari Squire. Ferrito received a text message from her son's phone the day after the fire. The message said he was going to Missouri for work and he would phone the following week. Ferrito thought that this was incredibly odd because her son rarely texts he would usually call. Based on the description of Justin Newman, the police thought it could be his body. Both Ari and Newman were 5'6" and weighed around 140 pounds. So the investigators collected Newman's toothbrush and got a sample of his DNA. It was compared to the body's DNA. It was a match. The police then put out a notice to be on the lookout for Newman's car. The police questioned Ari's wife, Denise, and she denied having anything to do with Newman's murder. She also said she didn't know what happened to her husband. The police got access to Denise's email account. The day after the murder, Ari emailed her. He told her where to find his will and other important documents in his office. 3 days later, he emailed her again and asked her when she would get the ashes from the cremation and where she planned to disperse them. He signed off the email, quote, "With all my love, Ari," unquote. During the investigation, another Home Depot employee, Sandy Lively, contacted the police. Lively said that Ari talked to him about a construction job that would pay him $60,000 a year, which was more than double his current salary. Lively, who was married and a father, was excited because it was good money and he was a trained carpenter. But in hindsight, there were many troubling things about the job offer. The job application he was given to fill out had some bizarre questions. For example, it asked him his eye color, if he had any tattoos and piercings, if so, what were they and where were they located, and the pins for his bank cards. Lively said that one day Ari was at the store and he caught him staring at him from a distance. Lively also said that he and Ari looked alike. He said that when he started to grow a beard, he noticed that Ari also started to grow one. Lively decided not to apply for the job. Ari then called him and chewed him out. During that call, Lively agreed to come to Ari's house on the morning of February 23rd, which is the morning Newman was killed. Lively said that he had slept in and missed the meeting time. Based on this information, the police believe that Sandy Lively was the intended victim. They believe that Ari planned to fake his own death. He wanted to kill someone who looked like him so he could assume his identity. Lively saved his life by sleeping in. When he didn't show up, Ari went to the Home Depot and found Justin Newman. Newman was nearly half Ari's age and didn't look like him. However, he was about the same size. Ari most likely thought if the body, especially the face, were burned enough, people would just assume it was him. Justin Newman called his mother and told her about the job offer, and then went to Ari's home. Once Newman was in Ari's garage, Ari knocked him out with chloroform on a rag. He then traded clothes with him. Ari put Newman's body under the truck. He staged the fire, including pouring extra fuel on Newman. He then dropped the truck on him and started the fire. He then got into Newman's car and drove away. The next day, he used Newman's phone to text his mother. 8 days after the murder, Newman's car was spotted parked outside of a Days Inn in Eureka, Missouri. The police surrounded the room that had been rented with a prepaid credit card taken out in Newman's name. The police heard a single gunshot. The police entered the room and found 39-year-old Ari Squire dead from a self-inflicted gun wound. In the room, the police found evidence that he was trying to make himself look more like Newman. This included blue-tinted contacts and hair dye. Ari's wife, Denise Squire, was never arrested in connection with the murder of Justin Newman. In 2008, Justin Newman's family sued Denise Squire for wrongful death. In 2010, there was a 4-day trial, and the jury agreed that Denise was responsible for Newman's death. His family was awarded $6 million. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to check out our new channel, Paranormally Listed. There's a link on the screen now, and there's a link in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.